All right, well, got our bit done this weekend. As you can see here, we got the primary fuel tank mounted. Everything's in, it shouldn't be coming out anymore. So right here, this is an adapter I got from RSR, and it worked out good. I thought I was gonna have to raise it to get a little more space, but ultimately it fits in and everything goes great. So, but there's a gasket that comes factory. There's this has a lip that comes out to, I will say, here or so. And the factory gasket doesn't really fit the adapter, but there is like a grooved out on the adapter space on this inside lip. So I went ahead and measured it, and I just ordered O-rings online. Ordered something that should be really close and work well, and then just ordered the next size up, diameter wise, of the O-ring itself. And you know, one of them should work fine, but I don't think that's a good positive seal without the O-ring. And it may be that they intended you to put an O-ring in there, I just didn't get one. So the fuel line ended up coming out this side. You know, I'd prefer if it was coming over here, as that's where I'm heading, you know, with the fuel line here. And I was thinking I'm going to try and see if anybody in town has some steel fuel line that I can install on these brackets. You know, between here I've got these mounts, and it'd be nice to bring steel fuel line across the back of this, you know, and connect the original into steel right here, and then bring it along back, and then just go ahead and bring the flex from here around. You know, and the reason this ended up that way is because the way where I positioned this on the tank, you know, you have your float for your sending unit, and you also have a divider in the middle of this tank. So that float has to be able to move up, you know, towards this corner right here where this divider's at. Now if I had put this on this side, I could have turned it this way. And that would have brought this coming over this direction, which would have been better. Just something I didn't think out before I welded it in, you know. But you know, I definitely didn't want to put it back in the corner. Obviously, being able to pull it out and free space here, you know, would be an issue back there. So we got the fill hose put in. Just got this extra clamp here because something was sitting on this and kind of smashed it, so it formed oddly, and it was kind of pinched off. It would have had free flow, but it would have been kind of restrictive when you're filling. So I just put a clamp on there, and it's in its normal shape at this point. You know, maybe it'll form back to, you know, just stay in there. I'll just leave the clamp there, whatever. So this is the factory line. Didn't have to cut it or do anything different. Just welded in the bung. You know, I had tested it, welded it back in. I put a 1.5 inch ABS drain plug on it and tested it like 5 pounds. But the rubber was expanding pretty tight, it was bulging quite a bit when I had under pressure. So it held fine at 5 pounds. I just leak checked the welds. You know, at 5 pounds, just using some water and no bubbles. So anyway, obviously we got the vent line here. I'll be taking over to probably just use the factory stuff mounted up underneath there. Not sure where that is at the moment, but it's a couple little canisters. Just stick with that. So this is where the fill cap will be, or is. So decided to put it on this side of the boat because basically when I put it in the water, this is going to be on the dock side, you know, the bank side. So I really wanted it on this side of the boat. So I did run into an issue right, not here, but I'll probably end up doing the same here, because essentially my exhaust is going to have to mount down in here somewhere. Go through the transom right there. So it's kind of coming right out to where I need to be with the exhaust. And so I'll just put a 90 on it. I'll take it this way, and then we'll go over underneath all this other crap. And I definitely ran into a problem here because my bung's back in the corner there. And the exhaust, it doesn't hit the exhaust, but when I put the valve set up like I had on the other side there, it was too close. And the rubber fuel line would actually probably would touch the exhaust. So I got all the mounts built. You can see where I just put tabs on there for straps. I thought about using ratchet straps or something. I put this rubber, I don't know if you can see it. I had these rubber gasket rolls. So I doubled them up. It's maybe a total of an 1/8 inch. And I used sealant. I just stuck them to the bottom and pressed them down in there. So it's a nice tight fit sitting on rubber. I threw a couple straps on this one. You know, I just welded on tabs, put holes in it. You know, I'll get a better strap. That wasn't intended to be permanent, but the sealant I put it down there between the gasket and the bottom of the tank needs, I just wanted a little pressure on it while it's drying. So, you know, if I lift it out, that'll just come up with it, and then you can push it back in. I don't really intend on taking it back out again. I should be able to just throw the fittings on there. So here I'm going to come out of the bung in 90 degree this direction. And I might go ahead and put a clamp on that engine bear flat piece there and strap brass nipple to it with the valve and all that, and then I'll come over underneath all this and then back to this port with the 90, you know, coming this way. So just need to change a little bit to make everything fit. I haven't sealed all the cables yet. Coming through the transom, I wanted to actually fire it and get the electronics going, fire it up, operate everything, make the cable adjustments, and then actually seal my through the transom connections. Still got a little bit of plumbing to do. I just wasn't that concerned about it. I wanted to work on the bigger stuff this weekend. So this is the complete exhaust, factory exhaust components. And it, you know, the way everything worked out with the brackets and everything, that just sits on there real nicely. It's pretty level, the whole works. So I still have to work out taking the exhaust from that port there down and out the transom over by the pump somewhat. So got to work out the fittings for that, trying to figure out what type of fittings to use. I don't know if I can get away with ABS. You know, this stuff here is just black plastic. So I really don't think there's a heat issue at this point. You know, after you're going through your water box and all this other stuff, I'm thinking ABS is not going to be so hot to melt that down. But I don't know. I'll have to check into it, see what. I think ABS fittings are pretty close to that size. The original penetration on the jet ski is here, where you have, this makes an immediate tight 90. I don't really have any way to incorporate that. There's not enough shoulder here really to cut this off. I might be able to, cut this off and get a clamp on that, but it just immediately takes off at a 90 degree. So I'll have to work some other exhaust penetration, I suppose, and seal through the transom. Which I'll have to start figuring out. I might end up just making something, because this mounting ring here, maybe I'll be able to find an ABS flange I can use, 4-inch, or who knows, maybe something I can seal up. So I'll have to look around for that. Obviously, electrical box is mounted, trim and reverse bucket, electronic control box is done. And basically that's it. This week I expect to get the plumbing finished up. Hopefully I get the exhaust figured out and get it going through the transom. I get the fuel lines plumbed. I was thinking about adding an inline filter here. I think this thing has a filter on the bottom of it. I need to look into that in the bottom of the pump housing. But otherwise, there's, it goes directly to the fuel rail here. So I thought, well, heck, I'm pretty sure there's a filter in there. Seems odd that there wouldn't be any filter at all. But I'll probably just add a metal inline fuel filter of some kind if I can find one with the right connection sizes. Still have to make a bracket for the air box. Kind of spaced that off. I wasn't really thinking about it. But it's got 4 holes for mounting. So I'll make a bracket to go across that and then down to the engine bearer assembly somehow. And then once all that's done, start working on electrical and electronics. Probably start out mounting the instrument panel. I'll just center it. Steering wheel's going to go left or right of it. And I suppose I could start working on electrical. I'm not mounting the steering until the seat gets in. I want to mock that up and then mount the steering. But it seems to me left or right, if I'm coming up on, the right side of, on the right side of the right engine bearer, engine beam, bearer's assembly beam, to come straight up and go right or stay right, it's not a big deal. I guess going left, it'd be a few feet extra wire, or maybe 3 feet extra wire to go over and up. So, if I start doing wiring, I just have to wire it long, which wouldn't be that big a deal. I even thought about taking the wiring up underneath the side rail, just to make it a little cleaner and keep it out of the bottom. Don't know if it's really necessary. Doesn't seem like it'd be a problem being basically where it's laying right down in there. But I thought about tack welding up some aluminum tubing up here and fishing it through. Don't know if it's really worth all that. But anyway, that's the update. This is where we got this week. Later.